Perfect. We are about 25 seconds away from going live on the radio with AbilityMKE Now. So stand by. We're about to begin. Welcome to AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff, and we are here on River West Radio. AbilityMKE Now is a show all about integration, bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own, with people we know, or people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities, and we break down those barriers, celebrating the ability in all of us. I am very excited to be bringing some friends to the show, and for starters, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Emily Gomer to do some introductions. Emily, come on in.
Okay, come on. Oh, there we go. All right, so our first guest, we met through the Happy Neighborhood Project, and she has an organization called Transition Clarity, and actually has her own podcast as well, and which I think is I'm going to be on at some point. Probably those would be in like October. That's how far she's booking out. But I'm gonna bring in Adele here to say one more. Welcome, Adele, to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you.
I'm going to say a little more about who you are, what you do. Like what's Transition Clarity? That's on.
So I'm supposed to be saying what I'm due. So okay, so I'm a transition mentor teacher, and I help people come home to themselves, with whether it's their physical house or their body. It's all about clearing out the belief systems, the untruths, and the conditioning that makes us turn our dimmer switch on. And I want everyone to shine like we're supposed to.
Excellent. I love that. So I'm just curious, how did you get started with this? I love this. This is very intriguing.
So I was aware of the gift at 3, and then I tried to deny it through most of my life. And then I was doing it on the side for 25 years, helping people with their homes, becoming, instead of the chaotic mess and going on vacation because they had to get away, becoming an oasis that they chose to get a different view. And then, lo and behold, the world shut down, and my guide said, "Are you ready? The world needs you." And I'm like, okay. So here I am, full time, hard at it.
Excellent. I love that. So, I'm going to back up for just a moment. We do have a couple more friends here. I would just like to bring them in so they can join in the conversation with us. So Emily, would you like to go ahead and do some more introductions here, and we'll get everybody in and we can get a conversation going.
Okay, our next person here, well, actually, the other guest I met through the Happy Neighborhood Project too. but our next person is an author, app developer, sign language interpreter, and Marianne of Waikiki. And is working with Leon McLaughlin from Clean Water Foundation. But Marianne, why do you want to come in here and say a little bit briefly about who you are, what you do?
Aloha, Emily, Kurt, Sue, and Wisconsin. I'm Marianne of Waikiki. Is my sign language name, my book author name. I am the author and Apple game developer of the Acts of Kindness series. My books are written for animation movies with 200 folk manis puppets, sign language puppets, with a soundtrack by Lucy Lynch and The Perfect Wave. And our first book is Underwater Acts of Kindness, featuring Noah, the hard-of-hearing whale, who is recruited by a sea turtle to tackle the Great Pacific Garbage Patch between Hawaii and California. And our second book is Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully, for Anti-Bullying Month, which is in October. And whale watching season starts December 21st, winter solstice. And we are partnering with Leon McLaughlin with Clean Water Foundation. He is the founder in Seattle, Washington. He brings water units to 40 different countries, and he'll be joining us on other shows. But we are currently writing a climate change book called Cool Acts of Kindness, featuring Waterflow the whale. And no one has done anything in sign language in animation movies. So I'm really excited to share that in July, I won the Awesome Foundation grant on the island of Oahu, and that was $1,000. We received that, and we've connected with the Waikiki School for the Deaf for Leon to deliver the books and a water unit on Monday, October 14th. With another brother, Andy Sexton, who has a grandson that's deaf and does Hawaiian blessings. So I'm coordinating that. I'm really excited for that to happen. And we'll send them coloring books, the books for ocean cleanup, anti-bullying, and the climate change book, and a water unit. And then we are using the other half of that grant, and I'm really excited to start tomorrow. The kickoff is my birthday tomorrow, and we are using that money to hire Jay Stoyan, the founder of the Disability Channel out of Toronto, Canada, who will be hiring other persons with disabilities to help market these Acts of Kindness series for the next 4 months. And we are currently working on the animation video, public service announcements for Clean Water Foundation and United Nations. We hope to be uploading them next week with Jay Stoyan, so the world can see what our project has been for over a decade. And that's the good news that I'm sharing with you today. Mahalo, Emily, Kurt, and Milwaukee. I'm Marianne of Waikiki.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Marianne. It's always good to hear from you and what you're all in the middle of, because you've got a lot going on. And I know we also do have one more friend joining us here tonight, Mr. Alan Holmes. So Emily, I want to turn it back to you for one more introduction.
Okay, so Alan is our master connector out of California, who is also a veteran and has his own show that we did just this morning, actually. So Alan, are you there to say anything yet, or?
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you just great.
You're
All
good.
right. Well, hello, Marianne. Seeing that you again. Sue, of course, Sir Kurt Roscoff and the rest of the crew, and of course, the World of Ability and Disability Channel. And of course, Adele Bernard, it is an honor and privilege to meet you, young lady. I am a master connector. Collaborating, connecting, and networking is what I do. As Emily shared, the Mastery of Connections, I have that on Wednesdays and on at 8 a.m. with incredible brother from another. His name is the Christian Mendez with EC Marketing for All, and we're working with veterans like myself. I'm 87 to 90. I was a 13 Bravo, so taking care of veterans and taking care of the disability community's mental health. And my wife suffers mental illness, or I say mental health. eradicating poverty, ending mental health stigma, and educating on financial literacy, and providing great resources like the incredible Tranquility Mood Emotion. I love the background with the little white lighthouse. So it's great to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Awesome. Always glad to have you here, Alan. You're wonderful. So I do want to talk a little bit here with Adele, and I know that you mentioned that you have a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So it's a podcast that I started just because I started meeting neat people and I wanted to share them. And so it's called Authentic Conversations. And it's just people I meet networking that I'm like, your story is really cool. Do you want to talk longer? And then they come on and they share their gifts that they have for the world. So yeah, it's fun.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds very similar to some of what we do here. We love to share people with the world because there are so many wonderful people out there doing great things. That's why I'm glad you're here joining us here tonight as well. So now, as a transition coach, we dive into that just a little bit more. What exactly does that look like when you work with people? How do you proceed with a new person that you meet?
Well, it really depends on every person. And like, for instance, I had a call today. I didn't know the lady, didn't know what was going on. And within a few minutes, it was just like, well, you need new roommates. Like, your house needs changing. And she's like, it does? I'm like, yeah, well, like she had two roommates. They didn't get along. And then they both decide to leave. And I said, this is a blessing. And she goes, how is this a blessing? I go, because you'll have new ones by the 15th. Don't worry about it. And so it's just it's basically getting people to see things differently. And then also I had like before clients that they carry the pain in their body through every house, right? And so I figure out where the pain in the house is, and they're like, I have no more pain in my body. And I'm like, well, you've been carrying it since you're 3. Let it go. So it's all about the emotions, and the emotions get stuck in the body or in the home, and we think we're fine, like the trauma's gone or the incident happened, and it's like, well, I'm fine, right? But you're not. And then you think about people with disabilities who can't express that. Because I also volunteered with a riding program for autistic and cerebral palsy kids on horses. And one of the clients I had for 18 months, his dad didn't know if he was left-handed or right-handed. And I said, how could you not know that? You're a doctor. I was shocked. So I did some brain gym with him, and then I went, he's right-handed. And
How
he was
cool is that?
dumbfounded. Yeah. He like, right. And so it was like, but I also knew I had to move on. And so it was really hard that day. So it's just like,
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to share with you too, we have a short book called Pono the Hawaiian Polo Pony, who features a deaf rider. And we have a little mini horse to go with it. So there's a lot of activities that people with disabilities, going out, being in nature, being tactile, calming their surroundings around. And you'd be surprised what other senses pick up for them too. So
yep.
thank you for sharing for your great work. I just wanted to chime in with that extra book there, talking about the Equus writers.
Excellent.
Well, and I'll just add to that because one of the little guys that was coming, like they were moving, right? They were doing a big move and he was having to change schools, and his mom was also having another baby, and that was like crazy, right? And his grandma just didn't know what to do. And I said, well, keep him in the conversation. From my understanding, highly autistic kids, they just need the plan. And if it's every hour you check in, if it's every day you check in, like, how do you want to load this box? How do you want to load that box? How do you want to label it? So they get their surroundings put away how they want them put away, not how we think we can quickly do it and get it done. So you have to have the patience, and my hats are off to the parents. Like, yeah.
If you had something that let me think here. Now, I'm gonna just back up. You were talking about the horse riding experience. How long did you do that? Is that something you're still doing?
No, I did it for 18 months. I was like, and it's really funny because I would go to the river like my whole life, and this was literally like 5-minute drive further down the same road that I just never drove to. And then one day I decided to drive there, and I was like, huh, what are you doing here? The whole barn, stables, everything. And so I got involved for about 18 months, and it was a huge learning for me too, because when I'm working with families with autistic children or Down syndrome, or like, it's a totally different breed because they're still connected to source. It's we're the ones that are too busy not staying connected. And like my friend's son who has Down syndrome, he was a really good introduction for me because he just, like, you think you're just talking normal, and then all of a sudden he just download these amazing messages, and you're just like, what? And then his mom would go, just listen. And then you go home and you have to, kind of like get it in your own head, like what the message was and how is it playing out in my life. And I'm just like, it was just gold. Like, that's all I can say. Like, it's pure divine gold from source that's saying, these are your next steps. This is how you go forward. This is like, and so, like, these kids, I think, are coming to the world to teach us to be present, to be mindful of what we're doing. And when we're not, that's when they act up. If they're acting up, you're not present. Right?
Yeah. And actually you made me think of a young man that I've had the pleasure of knowing here in Southeast Wisconsin. We had, oh gosh, for years actually, we personally had gone to a lot of transition fairs at different high schools, at different municipalities, whatever the location. We were sharing out an adaptive sport event that we like to do. We share our adaptive water skiing. And
Yeah.
at one of the events, we actually got to meet this young man who he's autistic. He is basically nonverbal. So in order to communicate, he uses the I forget the name of it exactly. It's RPM, I believe, where he can point out the letters on a keyboard, right? So it's a unique way to communicate, but it's so powerful, and that's something that he hadn't been doing for very long. I believe that's how the timeline was when we met him all those years ago. That was still kind of a newer thing, and I do remember at that event, our daughter was pretty young at that point. She was, I don't know, elementary school, like young elementary school, and this young man's walking around. He has his dog with him, and a service dog, but I didn't know how to communicate with him, and he was getting a little bit agitated. He was getting excited looking at the stuff that we're doing, and I didn't know how to communicate with him. And he was there by himself. Is actually people he was there with were manning another table, but I have that impression in my head of, I don't know you. I don't know what to expect. I'm not, can I trust you? I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how to communicate. I don't know how to help. And since then, we have gotten to know his family. We've gotten to know him. When you're talking about connected, absolutely spot on with this young man. He is such an intelligent young man and has so many wonderful words that he shares that are just, like you're saying, pure gold. His mom is so wonderful to share the messages that he shares. She'll share them out to the world through his Facebook and all. It is so amazing. And I had no way to understand any of that the first time I met him. And that's what's such a stark comparison in my head. There's such contrast, really, of how I've come to know him now versus that first time I met him. And I wonder how often that actually happens in that situation of not giving a guy a chance because you don't know how,
Well,
and
it's interesting you're saying
go ahead.
that, because when, like, this is what I've learned is that we have to slow down to figure out how they can communicate. We got to throw our communication out the door. Right? Because like for the one young man, like he supposedly he was nonverbal. Okay, but he talked to me the whole time in a different way. Right? And then I even had another little guy who was 5 that, he was more nonverbal, and he'd scream, and then I'd be like, well, that's not good. And he'd look at me and I go, use your words. And then we started going on these journeys. He was so telepathic, right? And so we'd go, like, we'd be out in space, and then we'd be flying around here, and we'd be doing all this stuff, and then his mom's like, he spoke? And I go, he doesn't speak with his mouth. He speaks with his thoughts. It's about you slowing down to catch them. And that is actually coming more prevalent in our earth as we move forward. That all these thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter if we're working with kids or not. It's like, what thoughts are coming to you, and are they yours? If they're not yours, thanks for sharing. Move them on out. If it's something for you, you kind of go, how does this need to play out in my life? And so I'm very, very aware of words and the power of words. And when I hear people say, oh, whatever, I don't know anything. And it's like, really? Your body is catching that. Your body's saying, oh, she doesn't mean anything. It's like, no, I'm turning my dimmer switch up full. And if I have anything to say about it, I want everyone to throw out their dimmer switch and just shine how we are supposed to shine in this world, doing the gifts we have to share.
We
Yes,
all
I want
have
to
unique
share.
gifts. Go ahead.
I wanted to share with you too what I've been listening to at night is Louise Hayes on YouTube, guided meditations about winding down, not listening to the news or the distractions, and
Mhm.
at the end, the past is over, it's the day's over with. It's time for your body to rest and heal. So turn off your cell phones and just sit and meditate and be grateful, thankful, let your body heal overnight. And so, yeah, it's been real comforting today. And I laid down too again a little bit before this amazing radio show, just to regroup and be grateful and thankful, because tomorrow's a new day. I'll be another year older. But we are excited to go on the Disability Channel tomorrow to shine the good news of the Acts of Kindness series and what Leon McLaughlin is doing worldwide. And so I want to share with you too, you're a teacher, and teachers are getting ready to get back to school. And teachers can go on a website called donorschoose.org. That's donorschoose.org. All classroom teachers in the United States of America can get copies of the books, coloring books, and folk Manus puppets for their classroom. And what happened, and after I came back from a sailing book signing tour in Florida back to Hawaii, a special education teacher who's now retired told me about Donors Choose. She requested 50 books, and they sent the books to her special education classroom. And they read the books for ocean cleanup, especially about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch between our island, between Hawaii and California. And they loved it. And I came out with the puppets. We did a slideshow. We taught with Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab, the ABC ASL, which is another form of communication, and especially for autistic children, because they are able to use sign and express, because basically we're expressing what our needs are. I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, for babies, change my diaper. And I want to wear this red dress today, mommy and daddy. And so sign language is a solution in a lot of situations, and especially for our younger children in elementary and special education and autism. So again, all classroom teachers can get copies of the books from Donors Choose. And I just want to highlight too with the Master Connector, Alan. I've been on his podcast. We've talked about hearing loss. That's my background also. I have a hearing loss and vertigo and tinnitus from an accident. But prior to that, I did work with the deaf and overcoming some of those challenges and being in different situations. So we have now 500 million people worldwide, millions of moms and dads coming home from being of service who can't hear their own children or grandchildren. So these are great educational tools to read. We got Santa approved. He's going to start reading some of these stories on the podcast. So we got a lot of great, exciting things that are going to be happening with the Acts of Kindness series. So again, thank you for having me on the show, and aloha Milwaukee. I'm Marianne of Waikiki.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marianne. And I agree, having a way to communicate is so, so important. And I think that's where you and Adele both have strategies and options where people are able to make a difference, make connections, increase the communication. I absolutely love that. And actually, I want to bring Alan back in here for a moment too, and give him a chance to chime in here as well, because Mr. Communication, he is the master connector and is so good with connecting so many different things, different people to different needs, to different companies, you name it. Alan, are you there? You want to come on in and share just a little bit more here before the night is over?
Well, yeah. First of all, I do want to extend a early birthday to Marianne of Waikiki for tomorrow. Mine is actually Friday, so slide that in there. But I want to say, sometimes we live in the world of being still, and your guest tonight, Marianne, and then of course Adele. I really want to say thank you for being, both of you, who you are, and in the world of tranquility and mood. And my wife has mental illness, and I bring that. A while back, I used to kind of hesitate on saying it, but I say it with pride, because those with physical disability, there's all those with mental disabilities who live in the world of seeing in images, and sometimes we, as those who don't have the understanding, they say seek to understand, and I seek to understand those who hear and see voices that sometimes they're not there, but it's some way of communicating with the world, just saying that something's wrong. And if we just listen and be quiet and just be still and sit by the shoes and understand the beacon of hope with the tranquility and mood. And autistic children are very unique. There was a TV show called Touch with Keith Sutherland a while back, and he had an autistic son, and it was really fascinating to watch him move things and put things in certain perspectives and understanding. And I was a summer counselor, believe it or not, a while back with the church camp. I don't tell the story often, but it was a young kid who was a child. They said, well, he won't talk. And he ended up talking to me in various ways by just saying rock. And I said, rock. Oh, you like rocks. And he went into this entire presentation of why he wanted to be by the side of the pond. And it was fascinating. I'll never forget. I wish I had kept it, but it's left in my heart that I know that he's probably somewhere out there changing the world right now. So that's kind of the beginning part of me as a master connector somewhere 30, 40 years ago. And now I'm here live on the River West Radio in the spirit of the games, and great minds like Marianne and Emily podcast who always watch it over me and the Master of Connections. And of course, coming home with the tranquility, mood, emotion queen, Miss Adele Bernard. It is an honor and a privilege to meet you. So thank you for allowing me as a Master Connector to just always be the co-pilot of life and just enjoying your presence, each one of you amazing ladies. And Mr. Kurt Roscoff, he's somewhere, I know, probably water skiing somewhere, but thank you.
So much, Alan. And Adele, it's been a pleasure having you on here tonight. Marianne, Alan, Emily, as always, we're so glad to be here. This is Ability MKE Now, and my name again is Sue Roscoff. And as always, we do thank you.